Southwestern Family of Companies welcomes you to the Action Catalyst. Each week, our diversely and amazingly accomplished guests share their insights and inspirations to help us ignite our own. So let's invest attention together to breathe, to reflect and refocus, and decisively defeat that voice we call Mr. Mediocrity. Then let's enjoy moving forward to make a positive difference in our world. Privileged to be your host, this is Dan Moore. Welcome, everyone, to the Action Catalyst. This is Dan Moore. And today we have a couple of very, very special guests who are going to share some insights with us that will be inspirational in terms of how to deal with the totally unexpected pandemic effect in an industry that depends upon travel. One of them is a repeat guest, Terri Rickard, who is the president and founder of Southwestern Travel. When Terri was with us several months ago, she shared some amazing insights in terms of how she deals with challenges and problems, one of which has stayed with me and been a material help to me. And that is that when we're faced with a brick wall, we have no idea how to get over, under, around, or through. Think, well, what's the right thing to do? And do the next right thing. And after that, okay, what's the next right thing to do? And do that. And Terri, that advice has made a huge difference to me, has helped me think through a lot of challenging situations. So we are grateful for that. And we're also happy to have one of her top executives, Irina Tuluca. Irina went to college in Missouri to study events management, joined Southwestern Travel, and probably had no idea that some of the events she'd be managing would be so thrown into turmoil and confusion by COVID-19. So what we'd love to do is to hear from both of you. We'll start with you, Terri, in terms of how things were rocking and rolling with the company. You had taken it from just an idea that you had when you were the executive assistant to our chairman and CEO, just an idea, to a very powerful and profitable company. January was great, February was great, and then all of a sudden came mid-March. You're in the travel business. What do you do when suddenly no one is allowed to travel?
Well, Dan, I think I wanted to cry, actually. I initially, there were lots of emotions, both ups and downs in that initial part of the going into, let's say, a lockdown. We had all of our bookings either cancel or reschedule for future dates, and we were just kind of shocked. I was in a state of denial. You could ask my team for about a month. We were just kind of like, is this really happening? Is the world really shutting down? In fact, Irina came to me one morning and said, "Hey, Terri, Italy just closed everything but their essential businesses." I said, what do you mean everything? What's an essential business, And so, I made her show me, where did you see that? I just did not want to believe it. And so, Dan, when that happened, it really reminded me of what is called the RAFT technique. It's RAFT is an acronym for recognize, accept, focus, and transform. And so that first step is to recognize that a negative event has happened to you. And so that when I made that choice to recognize it, it really opened up my mind and our opportunity as a team to get together and really think through what is that next right step, right? So what are we looking at? And so we recognized that was happening. We accepted that there was this tragic event in our industry and in our world where our entire business has just been pulled out from under us. And, we decided as a team that we were going to increase our communications, not just with ourselves, but with our clients and our vendors. We focused a lot of our attention went directly into like I said, rebooking, closing all of our open accounts, and rescheduling our trips. And then once that slowed down, we focused also on our attitude, like just having a positive attitude towards this change and this disruption. Our activity, we doubled down on making outbound reaches to future clients too. So we started really focusing on that, saying, hey, we want you to know we're still here for you. We know that the world of travel has come to a standstill, but when you're ready to travel again, we're going to be here. We're going to be prepared to greet you and welcome you back and get you on the road again. So it's kind of been my process during that time.
Well, that's great. Well, it sounds like, Irina, you were a big help to getting your boss on the right track. So we thank you for that.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely took a lot of new replanning, just, having an open mindset and looking at the landscape and with a new perspective, because obviously our main priority is the well-being of our travelers. And that's always been top of mind, but now more than ever, with all of the changes that have happened over the last 5 months, it's been an interesting ride to see, how our vendors are handling that, how the different, new processes are being put in place, and how we can really transform that to be better for the future for years to come.
Mm-hmm. Well, our company, Southwestern Advantage, is one of your clients. And you assisted us in canceling an in-person event in New Orleans. And at the time we were discussing cancellation, there were only 1 or 2 cases in the whole state of Louisiana. We did the right thing in pulling the plug on that. But then our next major event was going to be an in-person, what we call sales school. We had 700 people. Can you kind of describe what we had to do when we discovered that Nashville, our headquarters, would not allow gatherings of anywhere close to that size?
Yeah, that was probably one of my favorite projects to work on, and probably also one of the more challenging ones, just because it was in the middle of pandemic, and it was an essential business need that these students met together and learned the processes to be able to do their internship program in the summer. So we had just under 650 students that were supposed to meet over the course of 8 weeks in Nashville during the summer. And of course, COVID threw a wrench into our plans, and we had to cancel all of the hotels that we had booked. But we did find a way. That was the biggest thing, to actually make it work. So what we did was we looked right outside of Davidson County, where the restrictions weren't necessarily quite as strict, but we were still able to follow all of the guidelines step by step. And what we did was we actually split the group up into 2 different groups of approximately 300 people at 2 different hotels. And we used these massive ballrooms, which were, one was 15,000 square feet. So we were able to socially distance all of those individuals in each of the ballrooms. We also were able to administer temperature checks twice daily and log them. Masks were required, and we really took all of the precautions necessary to protect our attendees as much as possible. We had bagged breakfast that they just picked up and took to go. So it was very, very interesting. The hotel partners were amazing. They helped with making sure that the cleanliness was up to par. They it was very touchless, even with housekeeping. Everybody obviously had their own bed to sleep in, but more than that, they were grouped together strategically so that they would room with people that they were basically quarantining with before the event actually happened. So it was a very interesting event, but it really, I think, paved the path for what events, at least in the near future, maybe 1 to 2 years out, are probably going to look like. So, yeah.
Well, one of your hallmarks, in addition to being highly organized, is you take a logical approach to things. And when things are very upsetting and frustrating, you have a way to kind of calm your head and work those steps through. What do you attribute that to? And am I accurate, or are you just a great actress?
No, I think with event planning, one of the most important skills that you have to have is being detail oriented. And I can tell you, like, my whole life, I've always been involved in events at some level, from middle school being involved in, drama and theater, and high school directing. And that's just part of it. I mean, I was really involved in a lot of things growing up. But I remember I took so many social positions in college, in planning events, and I have this one memory that always sticks out. I had planned a graduation and, ordered all the catering, secured the venue, everything start to finish, right? And after the event, I got pulled in to our director of the entertainment management program. He pulled me into his office, and he was really disappointed because I had done like sliced meats and cheeses instead of cubed. Little detail, he pointed it out to me, and it literally stuck with me forever. I mean, in an event planning world, every single detail is so incredibly important. And I think the more time that I spend in the field, the more important I realize that it is. I mean, you can have everything right with a meeting, with an incentive trip, and you miss one tiny detail, and it can make the world of a difference, or that's what people will remember. So I think I always just, had that mindset. And I am a little bit of a perfectionist too. So I love seeing, the experience come together as we want it and as it was planned. So yeah, I mean, it's a mindset for me. It's a perspective, and I really want to do my best job at serving my clients well.
Well, you definitely do that. Terri, from a leadership standpoint, because you have a team of people that look to you for guidance, look to you for support. You're a mom, you're a wife, you've got a growing family, you've got many responsibilities. What do you do to kind of keep calm and equilibrium when all of these things are going on around you, so that you can appropriately model that for your team?
Yeah, Dan, the thing that I focus on is my schedule, just staying on track with, just a daily schedule, being in control, taking ownership of that. I mean, obviously managing a business, managing a team, managing a family, where everything has to be scheduled out to get it done right, to get it done on time, to be the most efficient. And so, that's just something that I have really always focused on. I feel like something that has always been a strength of mine is really being calm in the storm. And so when the whole world is really blowing up around me, it's one of those things to take a deep breath, to look at the facts, what's going on, what are the facts of the situation, and then what is the next right thing to do. It really is a motto, something I live my life by, something I try to instill into my team. And so we want to live by our schedule, to focus on the next right thing. And so, yeah, I think that's what I do.
I think it's fantastic. One thing that your company does model is optimism. And optimism is different than just hope. Hope is when we drop our toast and we say, I hope it lands with the buttered side up. That's hope. But optimism has more to do with our ability to control some of the inputs. And when you spoke about redirecting effort and doubling down on the stats and increasing your outreaches, increasing people, that's what can lead to a better outcome. And I think that's a key lesson here for all of us, is that when we don't know what to do, hoping is not going to get us there. But an optimistic attitude that says we can get a good result, but we have to do the work to get there. Can you expand on that a little bit, Terri, from a leadership standpoint, and how you could, first of all, adopt that mindset? You've always had it, but how do you help other people have it when maybe they don't have that naturally?
I think it's showing them how to do it, right? It's leading by example. It's getting into the trenches with them. A lot of times I will get alongside of my team, and we'll do the calls together. We'll start the process together. And so, it's just motivating them in that way, by leading through being the example of that.
Hmm. I think it's so important. Irina, when you talk about increasing activity, what were some things that you specifically did to increase your communication with both current clients, prospects, future events, juggling all of that? But were there things that every day you said, this is what I've got to get done. This is my must-do list?
That's a great question. I think where we started when all of this started happening was just merely reaching out to our clients, whether they were current clients, past clients, clients that maybe never panned out. They were perspectives, and telling them that we're here as a resource to help you navigate this situation. We understand that some companies are not comfortable traveling, nor, at one point they shouldn't have been anyway, but we were here as a resource for them to help them navigate the waters, especially through travel and especially through, hotel contracts that can sometimes be pretty tricky, vendor contracts, things like that. When they had questions during the midst of this pandemic, we offered our services as purely a resource. And I think the goal with that is really to build a relationship long term. We know that travel is going to return at some point, at some level, whether it's virtual events for the near future or, hopefully in-person events will come back, and we'll see more of that in 2021. But first and foremost, it's important for them to know that we're still here to help serve them regardless of the situation. And we'll be here to help them navigate through the new normal, as we'll call it.
Mm-hmm. Terri, I think a lot of this has to do with your complete belief in the mission that you're on. Can you expand a little bit on the mission statement and the mission feelings that you have within Southwestern Travel, the things that are your anchors?
Yeah, our mission is to provide our clients with dedicated counsel and service, to maximize value and convenience, and to reduce risk and stress. And so we want to do that through our dedicated one-on-one complimentary consultations. We want to get into the details of your program, of your student trip, of your mission trip, of your family generational trip, whatever that event is. We want to get to know you, get to know what your needs are, and we want to help make sure that we include everything that you expect or have on your bucket list into that experience. And then we want to take the opportunity to maximize on that value and convenience by always adding more in than really what you're paying for, adding more value in than what we've charged you for, if you will. It's kind of our motto too. And then the last part of that is we know that being prepared is going to be the most important way that we can reduce the risk and stress in your adventure ahead. So we want to make sure that we're looking at and really thinking about the details for you, so that you're not having to do that while you're planning and actively on your trip.
Mm-hmm. Which to me is one of the great values in working directly with a professional agency such as yourselves. There's lots of pitfalls, and even though I'm a pretty seasoned traveler, knowing that I had somebody that could organize everything, whether it's a visa that we suddenly realized was needed, vaccinations that were needed that we might not have been expecting. So putting in a plug for the idea of professionalism, it takes things to a much higher level, reduces a great deal of confusion, a great deal of stress. And you and your team definitely model that for all of us.
Well, thank you, Dan. We certainly appreciate the opportunity to serve you.
Well, it's great. So we're gonna wrap just with sort of some general comments. Irina, I know you have a lot of colleagues that are also in the travel industry and the events industry. You deal with people in the hotels and the airlines and all the rest of that. When they're discouraged, I'm sure they sometimes vent that and share that with you. What general advice would you share for somebody that just feels so at the end of their rope, that there's no way out of this dark corner that we're in? What would you advise somebody that feels that way?
There's no doubt that the landscape has changed and that things are different. But I think going back to what Terri said originally, you have to really accept that fact and then just move forward. And moving forward is all that we can do at this point, taking it step by step and just continuing to move in a forward direction. Just keep walking the path, and soon enough, I think we'll make it through the storm. And in the process, we'll learn a lot of really good things and apply it to future programs and events and just life in general. So that's my advice, is just to keep looking forward and keep walking along.
Mm-hmm. Terri, what would you add to that? Because you have the additional dimension of a family and little kiddos that look up to you, and they get scared and school's closed and they don't know what to do. What would you just share in terms of general guidance for people that just need reassurance and a path to be on?
I think it's just a matter of, Irina actually just said it. It's accepting that it's happening, and really talking about it. That's something we did with my kids when COVID-19 happened. We sat down together as a family and we talked through what that looked like, what that could potentially mean for mommy's business, right? So we're talking about how that could affect our family and getting prepared in case something happens. And so we wanted to make sure that they were, being prepared. And so we did the same thing with their school when school closed down, and my kids are small. So we have twin girls that are 5 years old, a 7-year-old, and then I have an older son who's 14. And so, it's managing those different ages and their perspective and understanding of what's going on. And so we really wanted to help create a sense of safety, a sense of understanding in our household of what this could look like for our business, for our family, for your school, and things like that. So accepting what's happening, being prepared, having a positive attitude towards change was something else we talked about. We talk about that. It's actually on our statement of purpose for Southwestern Travel Group, is that we have a positive attitude towards change, and change means we're being progressive and innovative. We have always had that even before COVID-19, and we believe it to the core of who we are. And we know that that's what helps us propel forward. And so I did it with my business. I'm talking about it with my family. And so I think it's just having that open, clear communication with it too.
Well, it's remarkable. And the fact is, a lot of people in your business are not going to survive this in terms of their businesses. The ones that will, like yourselves, it's because of the right attitudes, the right philosophies, orientation toward customers, taking care of good communication, increasing your effort, paying attention to the details. All of these are things that I'm carrying away from this conversation that you do so incredibly well.
Thank you, Dan. This has been tremendous. I appreciate the opportunity to be on the show again.
Well, it's great. And Irina, thank you for everything that you do, that you add to us as a client, and that I know that you do for all of your other clients as well.
Thank you. Well, it's a pleasure.
And I've never seen you not smiling. So either you're up to something or you're a genuinely happy person.
I'm a pretty happy person.
Well, that's great.
Yes.
So on behalf of all of our guests, past, present, future, and our audience members who always are enlightened by this inspiration, thank you both, Terri Rickard, Irina Tuluca, for being on the Action Catalyst.
Thank you, Dan.
Thanks. Thank you.
If you enjoyed this podcast, please make sure to subscribe. To stay updated on everything that the Action Catalyst is up to, make sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Action Catalyst and Twitter at Catalyst_Action. Thanks for listening. This episode is sponsored by Southwestern Travel Group. Southwestern Travel crafts custom, memorable travel experiences for meetings and incentive travel, leisure travel, and student group travel for clients around the world. We connect travelers to memorable destinations and life-enriching experiences through personalized counsel and management of all the travel details. Our team of travel advisors design itineraries and experiences to best match with you and your group's travel style and interests. Southwestern Travel goes above and beyond to elevate your corporate events and personal trips. To bring your next inspired event or leisure trip to life and receive a free destination guide, go to www.southwesterntravel.com/action.